Were your headphones not plugged in?
I had my headphones plugged in. I guess my computer picked up the Bluetooth
Yeah,
speaker in the
been
house.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right.
That's like my worst fear is Bluetooth being connected to my phone when I don't realize it.
I mean,
Why's
it
Yeah.
that?
could.
Why's that?
You never know what kind of sketchy stuff you're gonna get caught doing. Trying to download a gun on
Looking up
YouTube.
some cheese pizza videos.
Oh man.
where
Oh
where are
man.
you at right now, Kamari?
I'm on my back patio.
Okay, it looks
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
You've been playing darts?
I no, I have not. Maybe I should work on my aim a
Yeah.
little bit. So yeah. Now, I mean, it's. I'm glad that it looks nice. It is a lot of junk back here. Laura's been doing. She would do because like our internet is all wonky and shit.
Mhm.
So she'll do like a lot of conference call shit out here. So she had brought like this purple drape and this like desk, and so it looks like it's a different type of situation. But I have not done that. So
Yeah, I've been back there. It's a different type of situation back
yeah,
there
yeah,
for
it's a lot
sure.
rougher in
Dude,
person.
you do you have like two choices with the dartboard. It's like either you get rid of the dartboard or you're good at darts. Cause
Yeah.
like when you go to someone's house and they like have like ping pong or like pool or like some kind of game like that, and if you beat them, that's an embarrassment. Cause
It
like
is. It's a shame. I mean, I would get whooped. I would definitely get whooped at darts. I mean, like I I've had like darts at different points in my life, and it was just never a game that I still don't understand the scoring. You know what I mean? All I know is like try to hit the middle, but I'm not good at that. I guess I haven't really put the effort into, you know.
darts is weird because it's like you could be like super close to doing the thing you wanted and you fucked up, like you got like a one, but you're close to the bullseye, or like you tried to hit something and then you got 20, and it's like I think people are
Because
kind of
you
lucky.
have to hit like a specific number, right?
Yeah,
Like
you can't go under. If you play cricket,
Yeah.
then you have to like you can't go below 0. So it's like there are things that yeah, like
Dude, the pride that people take in playing games designed for like completely shit-faced morons dude, I hate everyone who's good at pool.
Yeah.
Like
I hate
that's such a bad character trait, is being good at pool.
it's pretty cool though. It's pretty cool when people are really good at pool. Especially when girls are, because girls don't play pool as much and it's really cool when girls are good at it.
shout out to all the bomb ass women billiard players.
Yeah, dude, representation.
The
Hold on, real quick.
yeah, what's up?
All right.
R.I.P.
All right. All right. No, no, I'm not all right. But
Yeah, you're very frozen, Kamari.
But we can hear you.
all right, this is all right. I think I'm good, man. It's golly, man. Why doesn't somebody just put me out my fucking misery, man? I'm tired of all this shit. It's too much.
Yeah.
Goddamn world is unraveling, and internet.
What regarding Laura's backdrop for meetings, like there's like two kinds of Zoom meeting participant, and one is the person who's fussy about the background, and one is the person who's not fussy about the background. And like at work, at my work, like most people are kind of slobs or whatever, and they show up in their sweatpants or whatever. And then there's like one graphic designer who's like incredibly put together, and like everything's really clean or whatever, and in her home office. And one time
I
she
feel like you work with Laura. Like,
Yeah. Well, so exactly, and so I mean, it's very often the graphic designer who's very put together, and but one time she had like all these Tupperwares behind her, and like my coworker was like messaging me to talk shit, and was like, "Wow, this is very unlike her to like to have a messy background or whatever." And then we realized the Tupperwares were full of baby turtles that she was raising. So it was
oh
like,
wow.
yeah, so it's very yeah. It was
Wait, what?
yeah, she's like it was just very twee. She was just like raising baby turtles. So we thought that she was like messy, but actually she was deliberately bringing life into the world, and like had lamps set up over the Tupperware and stuff. So
Dude,
she's undefeated.
Man, I hate to just shit on every kind of person that comes up that we're bringing up, but I'm suspicious of turtle people too. Like I feel like turtle people are they're selling, like bath salts, and the cage is gonna smell pretty bad. At least that's my experience with turtle people, is like those environments get pretty disgusting, and they're always selling some kind of drug that's not the drug that they say it is.
There are turtle people
Okay.
who they're like reptile people, and then there are turtle people. You know what I mean?
Nah, I mean,
Reptile people are weird.
Yeah.
No offense, Remy.
how big are these turtles getting? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, they're not. I guess I because are tortoises the ones that just get super big, and then
Yeah.
turtles are like just maybe about this big.
There's different kinds of turtles. Like I had
Speak
a
on
pet
it.
turtle. I had a turtle when I was little, but my parents built a stupid thing for it outside, and it dug itself out.
Oh yeah.
So a big running joke in my family was that our turtle ran away. And then after Katrina, we suddenly had a turtle in our backyard, and we were like, "Is this the turtle?" But I don't. And then we lost that one too. But anyway, like I think that there's like box turtles and like things that are meant to be pets, and then there's like mean turtles, and then there's tortoises, which is like a different species altogether. But like turtles can be really mean.
I feel like tortoise is just like it's the formal version of a turtle. It's like the usted hence for turtle is tortoise.
I have to speak with respect to the tortoise.
Right.
Yeah, man. Like your elder.
You got your turtle shell.
Isn't the world supposed to be situated on a big ass tortoise?
The world
it's not a
turtle.
globe,
Yeah.
but it's like a tortoise.
Yeah, they've got their turtle shells for like around the house, and then they've got the tortoise shell for when they go out or when there's like a wedding or something.
Tortoises are land dwellers only. So if you see a tortoise on land, do not throw it in water because it will drown to death. But turtles live in water some or all of the time.
Okay.
Welcome to Turtle Facts.
Thank you.
This is our guest, Kamari Stevens.
Hello, David.
New Orleans comedian and brilliant lunatic.
Oh man, I hope I can live up to that.
I don't think you could do anything but, personally.
Oh man, how y'all been doing?
I'm good. I just moved. I'm a block away from where I was, so I'm even close. I'm even closer to you now.
Got you.
But so our cat is like an inside-outside cat, and we kept her in for like the first 4 days we were here. Okay. But now we're letting her out, and she mostly wants to go out in the middle of the night, and she just keeps going back to the old place, and she doesn't know how to get back here. Like she knows how to get there from here, but she doesn't know how to come back. So we keep having to go walk to our old house and then just carry the cat back, like after we get her
from in the middle of the night.
No, we let her stay the whole night, but
okay, got you.
In the afternoon we go get the cat. Izzy's going to get the cat right now.
Got you. Cat run.
Find it. But so now the neighbors just think we're insane because we keep walking a cat back. And this like really cute old lady named Helen tried to give me a bunch of her like tomatoes that she grew, and then my cat sort of hissed at her. There's a lot of drama, but I'm good. The new house is tight.
If you ever need to get a message to that house, you could just tie a scroll to the cat's leg and just wait.
Man, cats
need more tomatoes.
My favorite thing is when you put clothes on a cat and then it doesn't think that it can move, or it thinks that it has to move a weird way. Like we have this dinosaur costume that Jeff got when our older cats were babies, or kittens, as many people call baby cats. And now that we have a kitten, we put him, he's like a teen, but we put him in the dinosaur costume and he froze and then he thought he could only walk sideways.
Did y'all record this?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the kind of content I need in my life.
I'll send it to you. It's very cute.
All right, so we got cat updates. Michael,
Just
got a cat update.
Just one more thing. You need to buy a crab costume and just see if it does the same thing. No updates other than my back feels better.
That's good.
I hurt my back. But yeah, everything is basically the same. Susanna, I tweeted about this, but Susanna was making bread today, like kneading bread, and the Roomba kept bumping into her feet, and so she sprinkled some flour in front of it, and then it went away.
That's so funny.
Like it was hungry. It was so good. It was so good. But yeah, that's my update. What about you, MD?
My weird eye. I have. Wait here. See, can y'all see how my eyes fucked?
It looks a little fucked up. Yeah, just a little bit.
I went to the eye doctor and okay, I have to tell a funny story about the eye doctor. So he was like, they put like 20 kinds of drops and all you see is like a liquid that feels like it's not supposed to go in your eye, about to go in your eye. I haven't been to the eye doctor in like literally 15 years.
Yeah.
And so and they never did this to me because I never had any problems. So I think I've had my eyes dilated once. But anyway, so I had my eyes dilated and then they kept putting drops of shit in my eyes to like make them hurt less or do something so they could test it. Because they like poke and prod the fuck out of your eyes when they're seeing if something's wrong with it. And so, and he was like, I couldn't see anything. All I could see was like whatever like color my brain made, or it was actually making like really cool patterns and shit. Like at one point I could only see like this really cool snowflake pattern because he was just like pushing on my eyeball.
Jesus
so
Christ.
Oh, wow.
it was like
he's just putting, it's like the demons from Mandy. He's just putting LSD directly into your eye.
It was so, yeah, it was like very painful. He was being as nice as possible. But you know, whatever. So he is doing all this and then he tries to give me a Kleenex and I'm able to make out or hear at least that he takes out a whole box of Kleenex when he tries to take out one, like a magic trick. But like it looked like a clown, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they pulled out a bunch of shit. And then he gets really embarrassed and he calls in this nurse who got on us. Her name is Karen. And he's like, tell Karen I need to get in here. Because he tells the nurse that's in the room this, or I guess Karen might be the office assistant. And she's like, yes, Dr. Turkish. And he's like, these Kleenexes, I don't know what brand you got, but they're horrible. We need new Kleenexes. And then she's like, okay, well, I've been getting those for 20 years from Costco. And he was like, well, they changed it. And it was so funny that he had to come up with a reason that he had just fucked something up.
Yeah.
In front of this woman who was blind. But anyway, so I have this thing called scleritis, which is also he sent me to get blood work. He was like, okay, so there's this thing that you have called scleritis and it probably means that you have an autoimmune disorder. So go get blood work right now, but you only have 3 seconds to get down the hall. And I was blind and it was 4:27 and he was like, you have to get there by 4:30. And I was like, okay, shit. So I have this paper and I can only see signs very far away from me. And so I'm like running down the hall blind to get blood work at Toro. And I go up to the most pissed off man in the world and tell him that I've been sent to get blood work. And he was so furious. And it was so funny. He was the gayest man I've ever met. And he was just like, see, if they don't put it in the computer, I don't know what you need. So they didn't put it in the computer. So now I have to put in every single test in the computer. And you see, I might know what you needed if I was a doctor, but if I was a doctor, would I be sitting right here? And it was honestly a very uncomfortable, very funny experience. Because I haven't like been around a lot of people inside for a long time. And this was just like baptism by fire.
Yeah.
It was like, you're in a hospital, you can't see anything, and you have to go tell someone who's mad what you need, and then that same person has to poke you with needles. Because he was the same guy doing the blood work. He was at the desk, and then he was like, okay, it's time to go do the blood work. And I'm like, damn it, you're so mad at me. But he did a good job. So anyway, that's how I am.
Yeah, I need an operation on my knee, and I fucked the surgeon's wife right before.
He could tell that he had been mean to me at first, so he was nice to me once
nice.
he But anyway, that's how I am. I'm worried about my eye. And I woke up with a sore throat. I'm falling apart physically, but other than that, life is good.
Yeah, man.
MD, are you frozen now? Nope, you're just drawing.
Nope. Yep.
Just not paying attention.
So you're waiting to hear back about if you have rheumatoid arthritis, basically?
Yeah, or something else, or I could just have an infection in my eye, which means that it's like way worse. So I kind of hope I have an autoimmune disease, because if I have the really gross kind of scleritis, it's actually really serious. So like after I went to the doctor, I wasn't that freaked out, but then I Googled it and it's like really serious what I have.
Yeah.
So I called Paneet last night when he was stoned. Actually, I texted Paneet and was like, "Can I ask you a question about my health, or is it a bad time?" Because he's working like 90 hours a week right now.
Right.
And he was super stoned, so he just called me. And then he basically said if I had the infectious type that like makes you go blind immediately, because it said online that oftentimes the autoimmune type gets misdiagnosed as the autoimmune type because it's so common.
Yeah.
And the person actually has the infectious type.
Mhm.
And when that happens, they like lose their vision and shit. And I just
Damn.
don't. Yeah. And so I'm like really nervous I have that kind. And so Paneet told me if I had that kind, I'd be in so much pain I wouldn't be able to do anything.
That's good.
Yeah. So, and I'm not in that much pain. I just have like, I mean, it sucks because I have a headache right here all the time.
Yeah.
And it hurts more when I use my eye, which is when I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, dude, face stuff sucks.
Yeah.
Like anything in your mouth or your eyes, you can't escape
You can't
it.
escape it. And I like, don't want to talk about it all the time, but I'm also just like, if I don't talk about it, I'll just be mean about something else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But now that I've like gotten it out there for the pod, I won't bring it up constantly. But
You can bring it up as much as you want.
I wouldn't mind if I had it. Not that I wouldn't mind. I know it's like really bad, but like my mother-in-law has rheumatoid arthritis. My grandmother has rheumatoid arthritis, and like they lived very manageable, fine lives. And it would explain a lot about why I have weird like pain all the time.
Is it hereditary?
So what's weird is that it often presents as if it's hereditary, but technically it's not genetic, but people's genes make them more predisposed to it, they think, because there's no like rheumatoid arthritis gene,
right?
But it happens in families.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you might not have the kind that makes you go blind. So.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry, hi Kamari. Can we hear you now?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
All right.
So the last thing we heard was you're reading "Blood in My Eye" by,
which I guess is kind of ironic with your eye situation.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, the long story short is I'm wondering if I'm a sucker if I don't just go out and blow up every cop car I see.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely, I think. But who am I to say? But, yep.
Yeah. So
I've been saying that about you for a while.
Doesn't blow up enough cop cars.
Yeah, this Kamari is a sucker.
I mean, I tell you, I'm kind of feeling a little suckerish. You know what I'm saying? Goddamn, you know. But yeah, I mean, I've been mostly just reading a lot of shit. I've been trying to write a little bit, but even like, like work on a short story. But now it just seems so inconsequential. So I don't know, man. I'm lost. I feel very lost.
Are you able to enjoy writing now, or are you just too like distracted by other stuff?
So like I had started a short story and I gotten to the point where I finished like the rough draft, and like it's like the most I'd written, like 10,000 words and shit. So I was like I felt pretty accomplished in that respect. And then I kind of went through, I don't know, man, it's like it's a certain level of insecurity, with writing, especially like the fact that, doing stand-up and getting so used to a certain response to like whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
And kind of using that as fuel to kind of propel yourself, where it's like, I got to propel myself on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Hold on. All right. Can y'all still hear me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. propel myself on my own fuel. And you know, and even just the idea like trying to really figure out what I'm writing about and like what am I trying to say with it, you know what I mean? Like and not have it just be this like silly ass, because essentially like I was trying to write a short story based on like a New Year's Eve, but it's, to me it's not about New Year's Eve. I mean, some of that might be a part of it, but it's kind of about certain connections or and you know events kind of falling into place, and you know I guess a certain level of I won't say spirituality, but you know energy, shit like that, I guess. I don't know, I'm still trying to figure that part out, but you know, finish reading it and it's like, all right, I finished the rough draft and then I read it and it's like this idea of what I want it to be, and it's just like this is not there yet, and then kind of having to deal with the reality of that it'll be a lot of work trying to really get it to that space, and beyond the work it's like it'll take time. I you know I kind of, when I was a kid I really was like, I would write a lot of stories, you know what I'm saying? And but the idea of like revision and shit, like when I was a kid I would do it for school, but I would like be like, oh no, this is good, you know what I'm saying? And it would be some level of maybe like going back and making sure like, oh, this is not, the spelling is correct and stuff like that. While now like I'm looking for like way different stuff in it, you know what I'm saying? And so you know it's been like I had found a little struggle in that.
I mean, it's, I don't know if you're still talking or not because your audio cut out, but there's like, you know, with like long-term projects, it's like, it's hard because you kind of need that like childlike confidence of just being like, my shit's good. Like that's like necessary to like keep moving forward. And like with performance, like whether it's like music or comedy or like anything that happens like in the moment, it's so easy to tell if your shit's good or if your shit is not good. And like you can revise it somewhat, but like with any sort of long-term projects, like I'm finding this out, like I guess the closest thing I have to like long-term projects right now is like organizing, which is extremely slow. Like you, I don't, you know, trying to figure out if shit's good is like, well, the world is still bad, so apparently no. But like having that sort of patience is like one aspect of it, but you still need the like confidence to just continue like pushing forward and like to just destroy some shit as you're like moving. And it's like that's it's it's something that like nobody teaches. Like there's really no way to teach like thinking your shit's good without any sort of like rubric to give you any feedback.
I'm 31 years old and ostensibly writing is like what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's like my vocation. I've been doing it for a really long time, and I only just started to figure out how to revise, and I always dreaded it, and now finally I have discovered that it's actually easier than the first draft, and it's easier to sit down and do it than it is to sit down and work on a first draft, because like with revision you can just like make a list of things that you want to fix or change and then just pick one and work on it and go through the whole draft and fix that one thing, and then like so it's a lot more linear, it's a lot less intuitive, and like it's the idea of it sucks way more than actually doing it. I'm finding that I really enjoy doing it, which has been a huge relief because I didn't think I was capable of it. But that phenomenon of like with stand-up you can write something that day and find out if there's anything to it that night, like that is something that I wish there was something comparable for fiction writing.
Or not even write something, like just like you open your mouth, you know, like, or like move a certain way, like, you know, like the physicality of stand-up is so much of it, even if you're like not really that like animated of a performer. It's still like people read your face, people read your vibe, people read the way like you're holding your like mic in the hand, like all that shit, like even where you're looking, like that has so much to do with if a joke lands or not. And you can't do that on like, you know, a story or a book or a huge project. Like it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
David, my roommate, had gave me some feedback about like putting my draft in I want to say it's called text edit on the MacBook,
Mm-hmm.
and it can read off your story. It can read whatever you write, and he was just like, I was like, hey, you know, that way you disassociate it from yourself, so like you can hear this disembodied kind of voice speak it, and then kind of tell if the sentences sound off and this, that, and the third. And so like it was interesting to do it because like in this story it's a lot of slang as far as like in how the people talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like hearing this very monotone voice kind of just speaking like me. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's very funny.
you know what I mean? Or talking to like it's I mean like this story the reality is a story for me because like ideas like I want to get better at writing and fiction or narrative writing especially, and so I use the idea for the story is essentially like stripped directly from can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It's stripped directly from my life. It's a real thing that happened to me, and then I'm trying to turn it into a narrative,
right?
Essentially, and so oh shit, I kind of lost my thought for a second. What was I saying?
You were listening to the robot speak like you about your experiences,
and so like the initial reason why I wrote it was as an exercise, you know what I'm saying? And then as I like finished it, I was like, oh man, I think I could actually turn this into something like worthwhile if I put some effort into it. And so now it's kind of I kind of have a certain like gusto for it, but it's like it's a chunk in there where it's, and this is something that I'm definitely going to like revise and kind of clear up. But it's this chunk that I even wrote like it's where two characters are talking about anime. Because I was at a party and I was talking about an anime doing coke in the room and shit. But I have this like disembodied voice like talking about fucking like One Punch Man and Neon Evangelion Genesis and shit like that. And this is just like just the most absurd thing I'd kind of experienced in a while. Or like
damn, I wish he wasn't cutting out right now.
We lost you. I'll just do the thing that he's describing. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. Actually, it's more of a Stephen Hawking, I guess. Rip.
Oh, damn, man. He's gone.
Is it possible for him to just? Would it be easier for him to like call in?
Possibly, but the audio quality would suck. Let's see if I can.
Oh.
It would be fuck me in the face. There we go. He's joining. Come on, you can do it.
This is gonna suck for you to edit, Michael. I'm really sorry.
It's okay. It's not so bad. What's interesting is that when he does cut out, okay. See, now we're talking, getting closer to that router.
I had to relocate.
Yeah, this is an upgrade. I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think we're good. It might have been like we legitimately had it where our landlord she got like a new router and all this stuff, so it had been where we would have to be on the patio to get like the best internet thing. And so I think that might have changed, which is for the best. Yeah. It should work better inside the house.
Yeah, it's good to not have,
to go outside to do inside things.
So you're listening to the voice talk about One Punch Man and
One Punch Man, a lot of stuff about doing drugs, like just to hear the disembodied voice say Molly, like, you know what I'm saying? But I do think overall it was like, you know, it was a productive, you know, a productive tool for hopefully. I mean, like again, I think this week I just kind of been generally distracted But it's something that I still want to work at, because it's like the main function of it for me, and that's what I try to remember is like I am trying to express myself,
Mm-hmm.
beyond any other thing, and trying to sense of feelings and stuff like that, So trying to focus on that instead of like whether or not people will find it like a classic piece of literature. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I can relate to that. The
and I mean, at some point when I get it in good shape, I'll definitely send your way, Mr.
I
Glaviano.
would love that. Yeah. The thing that you were saying about like looking at the rough draft and seeing like the distance between like what it could be and what it is right now, and like the discomfort of seeing that. Uh, Woody Allen of all people said something funny about it, which was uh, like I have an idea, and the process of making it is the process of gradually destroying the idea, and then once it's completely destroyed, the project's done. And I think that that's like an interesting framing of that experience, where it's just like, you
Yeah.
know what, it's always going to be better. The idea is always going to be better than the implementation, and you're just trying to get it close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except he was talking about parenthood.
I was trying to think of a pedophilia joke as well.
Um, I feel like we have to at some point gradually just super shift topics, but the city I grew up in is on fire, and
Yeah.
the police continue to murder black people with impunity, and it seems like there's something a little bit different about the way people are reacting right now.
Oh, for certain.
I mean, like there were fires and there were fights in like Ferguson and Baltimore and Milwaukee and like other places that I'm forgetting for sure. But like they burned down a precinct
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
Minneapolis. Like that feels different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think one big difference is that the solidarity protests across the country are also turning
Yeah.
into like big old shit shows. Whereas
Mhm.
whereas like it seems to me that like you got your Ferguson, and then you got your like mostly lower key protests across the country, but everything's blowing up, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm.
Yeah.
Do y'all think? Does this? I mean, does this feel like something that's gonna like grow into something else? Like,
I like right now I definitely feel like um well, I mean, that's kind of why I'm reading something like Blood in My Eye,
Mm-hmm.
or like I think I might try to shoot a gun for the first time at some point in the upcoming week or so. Because at least like from a lot of I say like a lot of the people I engage with, like or see online and stuff like that, like um, I think this is like the perfect kind of powder keg for like an eruption.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? From just the general police violence to the fact that people are like out of work, without money, without resources, feel, what I mean, it's probably we got probably hundreds of thousands of people grieving from losing loved ones because of coronavirus, and definitely the mishandling of it, and
Mhm.
just essentially just like the being all right with just hundreds of thousands of your population just dying. Um, and I mean, I think also people feel like if at any point to really turn this into the other direction, now is the time to like really put the foot on the brakes, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Uh, yeah. So I mean, like, and I think this is especially for like people who are organizers. Um, they see like this is the best time now to like really, recruit and rally the troops. You know what I'm saying? Because it's as present as
Yeah.
I've ever seen it. You know what I mean? I know in Columbus, uh, Ohio, and Dayton, Ohio, police was pepper spraying hella folks and
Mm-hmm.
tear gas and pepper spraying like council members and shit like that. or even the fact like seeing, I'm not like a big CNN guy, but even
They
watching,
arrested CNN.
yeah, you know what I mean, or even like in Atlanta where they're fucking, knocking down windows and shit and stuff like that. And I mean, I think it's, it's an amalgam of a lot of, uh, and I was talking to Kyle Smith, another comedian, about this other day. It's like people have been legitimately like cooped up and they got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like people are exhausted in a way where you're working your regular,
Right.
you got your regular routine. It's like, nah, like I done been in the house for like 2-3 weeks and I done had a time to really like sit and be introspective and think about things. And, what time better than now, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about all that. Like the the it's circumstances are like coming together in a way where it doesn't seem like there's any other option but to fuck shit up. Like I don't think people have, I mean, like trust in systems. I like it's never been as like it's palpably not there. You know what I mean? Like you can feel how absent anyone's faith in like even like the future is.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I know anyone our age who thinks the world is going to be fine 10 years from now. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, most, I guess other generations have felt that before, but like, it's for sure getting like fucked up. Like, there's a global pandemic and the earth is on fire and the police are still out killing people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
everything stopped except for the police killing people. Like,
yeah.
It's just like, of course, people are gonna fuck shit up right now, and they should. And like, I think whether or not this actually does anything, whether or not it goes anywhere, is just gonna be like, how organized can people be because of this? Like, no matter how much we fuck shit up, people have to go somewhere with this energy
and have a strategy.
There's a lot of like, okay, so there's so many questions about like, on the one hand, there's people saying like, no, cops are starting this. Like on both, like I would say leftists and liberals are both saying like, oftentimes in these demonstrations or uprisings, like the property damage is started by cops to justify greater use of force by cops. And then a lot of leftists are saying that's bullshit. That's saying solidarity is impossible, or that's like devaluing the legitimate destruction of property as a deliberate choice and not just like, it's not looting, it's a deliberate choice to like say something about valuing property over human lives. And I'm not saying, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people don't know. Like, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with destroying property at all. I'm just saying, like, is it a trap to justify greater use of force by cops in a lot of these instances? Like, how much of it is, I don't know. I don't know how much of it is like.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I feel like it could be all of those things. I mean, like for instance, I went to one of the protests yesterday.
Which one did you go to?
I went to the noon one. So
Okay.
it started in Duncan Plaza. It wasn't done by Take 'em Down NOLA. Started down in Duncan Plaza and it went all the way up to the police headquarters. And I mean, it was like some police presence there, but they weren't like prevalent like I've seen in video of other ones. And I mean, obviously like the language, especially like Take 'em Down NOLA, who I would say is like fairly radical. So it wasn't like this like we shall overcome. That vibe they were very much anti that vibe. A lot of chance of death to the racist pigs for certain. But like it was nobody, I don't think it was any damage to any property. I don't think, it was no engagement between protesters and police on that level. And I mean, I guess you would deem it peaceful to a certain extent. But I mean, bro, like this shit is, and that's the thing, like, because for me, it's like I'm just trying to. My main thing is that I do not want to be associated with no fucking bootlicking shit. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely don't want to be associated with that, but it's also a certain level of self-preservation for myself and being like, all right, like, I don't feel personally in a position to go, no matter how angry I am right now, like to like put myself in a position where a motherfucker would charge me for arson.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or something like, and go through that whole process. So for me, it's like, you know, if you I mean, if you really about it, then get routed. You know what I mean? I'm slightly about it right now. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't like and that's the thing. Like I've been, I've only like in the midst. I've read like a lot of novels. I've read like one book in the midst of this that was like very much like radical leftist literature. Described as emancipatory journalism, and it was specifically about like, well, it's
You cut out again right at it's.
Yeah, we'll pick
right
up
after emancipatory journalism.
Yeah, we'll pick up at emancipatory journalism when he comes back.
Michael, are you cleaning your nails right now?
Yeah, it's like my doodling.
Yeah.
I have a routine where I shower every weekday, but I don't shower on the weekends because I don't do my routine. You know. Oh, he's back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm back.
Emancipatory journalism. That's where you left off.
Yeah. So it's emancipatory journalism. It had me really riled up. Like I was fucking very, and I mean it's about mass media and well essentially it's about the effectiveness of a like a radical mixtape. So essentially using a mixtape structure as a means of disseminating radical messaging. So like having certain songs spliced in with speeches. Now this is like this is his specific creation. Like this is something that he had done. And then you know if you read the book, it gets to a point where he's like he failed at it, but it's something that he thought would be useful. But he uses that particular thing to talk about how like you know mass media has always been controlled by the colonialists, the colonizers, and being the other, the or you know being the other. How it's no benefit in really trying to use those means as a way to get out your message. Like you have to use these other means and this and the third.
The master's tools.
So
I mean, I think that's why like people are like, what do we do besides you know fuck shit up? Because it's like clearly information is controlled. Like you know information is entirely controlled by like the you know corporate media, whatever you want to call it, the powers that be, and like you know people take a stab at it with you know like your Jacobins or like whatever like radical shit people are trying to put out, like independent shit, podcasts, mixtapes, like whatever it is. Like you can try and get your information out, but it's like it's so small compared to like taking over the news, which is like what these actions do. Is like you can't not cover this, and like they're gonna put a spin on it, but like it's like it's the only, it's like hijacking a news station basically,
right?
Like you just have to be heard.
And I will say that I have interacted with 4 boomers about this, and every single one of them is like, fuck the cops, that was a murder, like this is good shit. I mean like even the most, I mean I know I was talking to my mom's boyfriend who's a Trump voter, or voted for him. He's now anti-Trump, but he voted for Trump, and he's like that shit was murder. I would be burning shit down too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is uncommon.
Yeah. So I mean he grew up broke in South Boston, so he hates the cops. He never didn't hate the cops. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and there probably are a lot of like people that, I mean, that's why, yeah, a lot of people. Who cares about Donald Trump? I'm not even gonna talk about Donald Trump, but uh, I do think that he's unique among boomers.
Oh, my mom's boyfriend.
Yeah,
I,
I do think that like most of them are very. I mean, at least from what I've seen online. Thank God my mom's just been posting about gardening. Um, and thinking that she tagged me, but just saying Mary Devon in the comments without tagging me. So I just have to look at her Facebook to see if she's written my name.
yeah.
But like, I do think most people are, pulling the whole, this is a protest, this is a crime thing, which is like Benjamin was saying, it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to get spun that way. People are going to misunderstand that. The point is, people are paying attention. And also, I don't want to change topics too much, but I'm hearing two things, and it's like I'm hearing one thing that's like, talk to your racist family members, and absolutely do that. But also the other thing, which I think is more like relevant right now, is like, racism's not a personal project for white people. Like, it's something that's institutionalized, and like what one, retired person thinks isn't really like what is going to change this, like, this system that kills black people all the time. Like, I think that it is important to do that, but also, like, if you frame racism as this thing that we can change within ourselves, that's not really going to do anything. Like, we could all not be racist, but I also don't know how to do anything besides that. Like,
Yeah,
I understand that racism is not a personal project, but I also don't understand, other than like joining an organization and helping in like incremental ways, like how we're going to
parody
police or whatever. Like, I don't know how to do that.
You obviously have a lot of different type of people that's coming to these protests. You got people that have never been to a protest and they might just be amped the fuck up. Then you also have people that are like very strategic, have been a part of like progressive movements and this, that, and the third, and they've been a part of it for many a year. You know what I'm saying? They're so it's not like this is it's still shameful, but it's not new. So it's not like they're reacting to it maybe in that visceral manner that somebody that's kind of being introduced to it. But I mean, if they're reading some of the shit that I've read, like, I mean, and not all of it, and some of it has been more anecdotal, honestly. But like, the at least the most black radical minded folks that I've kind of engaged with, it is a level of like, all right, now is the time to fuck some shit up. Yeah. Start getting be military be military minded, try to amass weapons and shit like that. You know what I mean? Because it is going to be some level, because you're going to have to go against the police. That's going to be like the first line of their defense. So it's like you have to be strategic in how you combat with them. So, and I do think some of those people are out there, and I know they're trying to now, if it's anybody else that's like just kind of trying to fuck up shit, I won't say just for the sake of fucking up shit, but they're angry and they want to fuck up shit, and whether or not for personal gain or to like disrupt the economy, they're like, well, all right, y'all, come over here, make sure y'all read this stuff, and then you can really get ingrained into what the real work that we're trying to do to essentially topple the system. You know what I'm saying? So, and I mean, and you still gonna have people that's like, I would say, more moderate or more reform minded, who do want to be a part of this and want to feel like they're doing something. And I mean, again, like I'm still trying to figure out, not even now I'm trying to figure out, but you know, I might be naive. I feel like it's more than one way to do some shit. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like generally, if you have people going in the same direction, then you can pull things into your favor. You know what I'm saying? And so ideally, even if I feel like I see more people willing to entertain that notion of like, oh, I need to actively go in this direction. So I need to actively engage and put myself out there versus like this idea of like, all right, I know that this is bad and I'm able to speak to others that this is bad, but it's like, well, how do your actions reflect that? And in what ways are you actually putting in
Right.
work. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I think the work can be a multitude of things. Um, Now I feel like more radically minded people might not feel that way because I mean, like again, like the shit that I'm only talking about it because it's like very present on my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mhm.
guess you are all the people that I could talk with it about. But you know, man, we got an election coming up where I feel like a good amount of people are very disillusioned about voting for either one of these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, a certain idea like, well, if you're so upset with the system and so upset with the options, then it's almost ludicrous to kind of partake in it because you legitimize it to a certain extent.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and then that's where it comes down to like, well, uh let's let's rile some shit up, man, or and let's be, you know, strategic about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I think historically, like people that I tend to agree with, like that have been part of what I see as the same fight that's been going on for like millennia,
Mm-hmm.
but in recent history, especially in America, like you hear the phrase diversity of tactics over and over again. And I
Mm-hmm.
think you have to respect that. Like, there are going to be people who, are going to try and reform stuff and are going to try and work with it within existing structures. And like, we can't make those structures disappear overnight. You can
See, that's how I
absolutely
feel.
organize outside of them,
Yeah.
and that needs to be a part of it. Like one of the main structures that exists is just like the physical reality of people. Like that is a structure. And that structure exists outside of any laws. Laws are, they're made up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like those structures, the legal ones, the your city councils, your workplaces, those still exist, and like there are ways to organize within them. Like, I mean, seeing like unions saying that they won't transport
Yep.
prisoners, like bus
Yeah.
unions,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking solidarity. That's
Yeah.
power, and that's like two opposing structures working together. That's like your workplace, like legal, all of that, working completely with the like fuck the law,
Mm-hmm.
like sort of anarchist tendencies, or like radical communist, whatever the fuck you want to call it, like something that exists in complete opposition to like agreed upon reality. Like that's the two things like that coming together, and you can't like that wouldn't work if they weren't both there. That
Mhm.
shit, like, I just think, like, even with that example, like, both of those things, both of those forces that came together to make that happen, happened because people were organized with other people. And I think that's just what has to come out of this is like everyone not just like theoretically understanding, but seeing with their like own eyes and their own hands that like the only way you change any of this shit is if you aren't acting alone. Like you
Yeah.
have to be with other people,
A-
and you have to like you have to figure out some way to do shit together. You have to agree somehow,
And
like whether that's democratically or whatever, but you got to be with other people.
and that's a function of the phenomenon of the ruling class will make zero concessions unless they're afraid. Like they have to be afraid, and that's why I think the riots are so fucking important. Is like they forgot. Like I don't know. They need to be reminded that a whole bunch of pissed off people is a threat to them, and
Mhm.
whether it's
And
go ahead.
well, I mean, and it seems like at least like certain response, like you got, I know in what I don't know if it's all in Minnesota, but definitely Minneapolis and St. Paul, where they're trying to enact these
Mm-hmm.
curfews. I feel like I I read that in Dayton, where I'm from, as well, that they were trying to enact a certain curfew where they just arrest you if you out. And it's like that is not the way. That is you're so. I mean, that's why I think it's gonna
Yep.
keep escalating because it's like again, like you just telling people to be in the house for no reason, and then you're gonna arrest them for being out, and it's like that you're friend on, like, you know, motherfuckers that wanted to fight to get the economy back open, whatever the fuck. Like, that is First Amendment rights right there. Like, or whatever the fuck. Like, I should be able to be outside. You know what I mean? If I'm not doing anything, I should just get fucking scooped up because I'm outside.
Yeah.
And again, like, you know, the repression of folks and their ability to, you know, speak out or be fucking, you know, destructive. Like, it's only, again, I think it's just only going to provoke, if you want to, whatever you want to call them, it's going to provoke them more. So, I mean, I think I see this escalating essentially, unless it's concessions made on their part. And, you know, and that's like the hope is that like major concessions are made, because if not, then yeah, shit is gonna keep burning the fuck down. And I mean, if that's the case, then that's the way it's got to be. And so that's why I got me a nice old baton. Then I'm gonna learn how to shoot a gun, because, you know, shit about to get funky.
I mean, I can't see this not escalating. I mean, maybe it calms down for a little bit, but like, there's no way that this energy is not going to be tied to something that happens in a presidential election with fucking Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Like, there couldn't be like more of a recipe for like more of the same completely unacceptable options. Like, even at like whatever, I'm not fucking voting for Biden, but like, if people want to, you know, I get it. Donald Trump, like, I don't want Donald Trump to be the fucking president. That's insane. But like, you know, like, even if you are gonna vote for him begrudgingly, like, things will get worse under either of those fucking administrations. Like, that's two of the like biggest villains of the past fucking half century, like, going up against each other. It's like, there's no way people aren't gonna lose their fucking minds over that.
Yeah.
And it's coming. Like, they're at this point, you know, they killed our boy Bernie Sanders, and there's no other options. Like, the negotiation period is kind of done.
And Trump's gonna
win. And they're proving like, the cops are proving that they are incapable of sitting by and like of like they just can't hear someone say fuck the police without fucking losing their minds. And so like they're just not equipped psychologically to like as a block. They're not equipped psychologically to just chill while protesters like tire themselves out. They have to respond because their dicks are so small. And like
little baby cops.
NOPD, I will say NOPD, I mean, I think that you're right about the psychology of police, and you're not talking about NOPD, you're talking about nationally, so it doesn't matter. Like, NOPD is still just as likely to murder individuals, like, and I'm not saying they're not, but they are good at hearing fuck the police in a protest and just ignoring it. Like, I think because of like Mardi Gras and extra scrutiny, because they murdered a bunch of people during Katrina, and so they're kind of like, better not murder people right now when all the cameras are watching.
Right.
But like,
I mean, the Minneapolis police, I believe, were under a consent decree, and I know they were investigated like internally by the state and by the feds, because they've been so fucking racist and shitty for so long. That's sort of, I changed.
No, I think that, like, I don't want this to be construed as I'm saying NOPD is good, but I am saying that, like, they're, like, people were commenting that the reason that the protests, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but people on Twitter were saying, like, the reason the protests didn't get violent was because the police, like, in other states did, or in other cities, did escalate it.
Right.
And in New Orleans, they just didn't come in riot gear. They just hung out on the periphery. There was probably a ton of undercover cops.
Right.
But
now I tried to like at least at the one in the noon, tried to see if anybody looked, you know, sus or whatnot. And I mean, again, you know, I don't know how fucking, you know, I seen somebody, I think we all know fucking well, I don't want to use his name, but he had posted like a picture of maybe undercover cop in New York, and the dude had like essentially like handcuffs in his back pocket and shit
Yeah.
like
Right.
that.
Thin blue
I
line
didn't see
bracelet.
any like obvious narcs
Yeah.
like that.
There was a guy behind us
I don't
whose
know if it's my
walkie-talkie
internet,
went
but I
off.
can't hear y'all.
Maybe
There
he
was
just
this-
like came from a pillow fort.
There was a huge dude behind us whose walkie-talkie went off, but he was this like big guy, and he had on a shirt, like one of those Walmart shirts that had like something about like the voices in my head.
Right. Can't
which,
sleep,
like,
clowns
really-
will eat me.
Yeah, like it really led me to believe that he was a cop
Yeah.
because he had such bad fashion. And also, as soon as his walkie-talkie went off, he walked away. But he also was like boldly presenting the walkie-talkie.
Right.
So I think he might have just appointed himself a security officer.
I mean, it's also just like there's a distinction between undercover and plain clothes. And I don't think he's
Yeah.
trying to fool anybody.
I also think he might have just been intellectually disabled on some level and just had a walkie-talkie that his friend was on. I don't know.
Right.
But
I mean, I have seen a recurring theme on Twitter where people are just like, it's almost like it's up to the cops whether or not shit goes down. Like
Yeah.
if you try and flex on us, fuck you. Like because ultimately it's about proving that they're powerless, that they don't actually keep the peace, they're not capable of actually doing that, and that all they do is protect property. Yeah.
And start violence.
Right.
And that they can't even really protect property.
Right.
That like we agree, you know, like we're more powerful than they are.
Right.
Like they're very powerful. I'm not trying to say that like the militarized police force in the United States isn't a formidable fucking foe.
Yeah.
But like they can't really control people if people decide.
Right. I mean, it's like Stalingrad shit. It's like there's just too many. You can like if.
Well, I mean, and that's what happened in Minneapolis with the 3rd precinct. They realized like it's like it's more people out here around this 3rd precinct than it is anybody around here, and it's either gonna be like we're gonna have some dead cops in this precinct, or we're gonna get them up out of here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's that on that.
Man, I really wish this particular episode wasn't cutting out audio so much. I had to leave for a second and come back.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't miss too much from you, and editing is magic. But I would like to all be in person and hang out. That sounds really good right now.
Man, did y'all see the little child police thing?
Yeah, did I read somewhere that it's actually just small cops?
I don't believe that.
Well, what is it? What is it?
I think
Kamari,
that
did you see this?
No, I did not see that.
Well, I'll send you a link. You guys.
So-
Y'all know I'm not on Twitter, so I'm.
It was in
out the loop
Georgia.
on all the...
They were okay. So the response from the National Guard just said every National Guard member is between 18 and 63, which, by the way, why do we have 63-year-olds in the National Guard? What the fuck are they going to do? But anyway, so that's what the National Guard just said. Basically, if they're in the National Guard, they're not children. We don't have children in the National Guard.
Right.
And so everyone was like, oh, they're little adults. But I think that they were kids in soldier outfits.
Right.
Like, I don't think that they were children in the National Guard. But I don't know.
It seemed to be taken at the protest. Like, did someone drop off like 5 kids dressed as soldiers in the middle of a front? Like, what is that shit?
I believe that there was someone who dressed up. I mean, they did not look like little adults. They looked like kids. Hold on, let me find it.
I just sent it to the chat, the Zoom chat.
Okay.
God, it rocks, dude.
Oh wow! So they got them in like riot gear and everything.
I guess.
Oh my goodness! They're gonna get these kids killed.
Those are not.
This is in Georgia.
Is that a Macy's?
I have no idea.
I think that's right by. Yep, that's a Macy's.
We got to deploy the child soldiers to protect the baby gal.
Honestly, they have more poise than any cop. So they're like way more chill. It's because they're not on fucking steroids.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what it is, but I really wanted to just be extremely short cops.
I don't believe it. I think some of them looked like teenagers, but the one in the middle, like, I don't know. I apologize to that grown man if he's not a baby, but I think that
looks like a child.
that's a
Just
child.
like on a real quick glance, and definitely like some high level Boy Scouts, maybe.
Yeah, that's one step above Eagle Scout. Yeah. Yeah. Apologies. Sorry about your thyroid if you're not a child.
Yeah, sorry. No, but also they don't let people in the National Guard that have a genetic disorder where they never hit puberty. Like, I don't.
Like, I don't think. What is it? What? Goddamn. I'm sorry, MD.
Dwarfism.
Funny. Gary Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of. Gary Coleman. It's not like they would let Gary Coleman in the
Exactly.
National Guard.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like the most inclusive place for people who are differently abled. I don't know.
Man, I would love and that's gonna be the like you know how like sometimes Twitter gets somewhere and then the news cycle catches up like 5 days later.
Yeah.
The liberals are gonna say that that's the problem with all of this is like people being ableist against the short cops.
I saw a dude steal a cop horse.
Wait, what?
I saw a video. I mean, you don't see him, but you see him. He's riding a horse.
Oh my god!
Like and then like in the video, it's like, yeah, I stole this cop horse. I don't even know. I'm like, it doesn't seem like it's like the country. It might be to be California. I don't know, but it's like, you know, people are, you know, it's weird. Like you still are able to kind of have a certain humor.
Yeah.
Exist in all this. You know?
Did you guys see the guy who stole the cop car that was on fire and then drove it?
Yes. I didn't know if that was a cop. It looked like a cop driving it. I was so confused by that.
I just saw the car.
I think I heard the story with that was that like the cop car was on fire and it was gonna catch a building on fire. So the guy didn't want the building to get on fire, so he drove a flaming cop car away from a building.
That's the Blues Brothers shit. Yeah.
I mean, no matter what that person's motivation is, like that's some cojones.
Badass.
Yeah.
My tactic would just be screaming really loud for everyone to get away from the car, even though they were already away from the car.
Yeah, I don't think that's like weak. I think that's pretty rational.
I would never get in a flaming cop car.
Hey,
I would just
that
be
thing
like, get
full
away!
of gasoline that's on fire? Yeah. One of my favorite stand-up moments was sitting in front of Hi Ho Lounge, and like all the comics had their little notebooks or phones out or whatever. They're just like getting ready for their set, and a dude came by on a horse, standing on the horse's back, going down the bike lane, and no one wrote it down. Everyone just looked up. They're like, "All right, cool," and then they just went about their business. That's
yeah.
Only in New Orleans, you know.
It was a very only in New Orleans thing. I think Jeff had a joke about it for a while. He wrote it down.
Yeah, I know he had mentioned it before.
Okay, all right. Well,
I remember being at an open mic like way back in Columbus. A couple black dudes rode up on horses, and that was, I mean, it was very eventful.
Yeah.
So I mean, that just might be, you know, at every open mic in America, somebody's liable to ride up on a horse.
This is the same two dudes just touring open mics around the country, inspiring a generation of comedians.
Man, oh
just
man.
Waiting for someone to write a good joke about it.
They're talking about me on Netflix. I miss y'all.
Yeah.
I miss you too.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Do you miss comedy?
I've been needing a break from stand-up for probably like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I'm still funny. You know what I mean? I still make myself laugh.
Yeah. You're a little fucking up. Shit.
I love it. The only thing that gets through is every once in a while, Kamari just going, bruh.
I mean,
No.
Barely.
Your
do you want me to give
voice's penis just lost its erection.
Do you want me to give you the phone number for this meeting, Kamari, so you could call it?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing, before it cuts out again, the last thing that you were saying was you'd been wanting a break from stand-up for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you know, man, like I got real disillusioned with stand up. You know what I'm saying? Once John passed away, and I took like a month off, but I didn't. That wasn't enough time.
No.
And to a certain extent, it was less that I didn't want to do stand up, but at that point, I kind of figured out like I wanted to. I put too much energy in just stand up, and I wanted to put it in more stuff. You know what I mean? I didn't want that just to be my like sole identity.
Right.
And so, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I mean, post that I had like a much healthier vision. And I mean, I still have like, I'm like a procrastinator. I'm very lazy. So, you know, it would be hard to kind of do some stuff. But like, you know, when I did like my one man show or, you know, other kind of things that I've tried to do since then felt more like free and more like, oh, this is me kind of exploring different parts of who I am versus me just like going for the gusto and stuff. Because I mean, like it's you know, it's that trap, man. I do feel like, you know, when I was younger, you know, not really being cognizant of like how you feel this need to be exceptional at one thing. And usually so you can amass some type of like, I was like, I want to be the best at this so I can obtain all this money and shit and be able to kind of solidify my position and people around me, instead of like really kind of exploring the things that I like was passionate about that might not necessarily you know, if you're diversifying yourself, you're obviously not going to be like to be the type of stand up, you got to dedicate your whole fucking life to stand up. And I got to the point where it's like, I don't want to do that. I still think I could be super funny. I still think that I could, you know, be on stage and like perform well. But I mean, it just wouldn't be good for me. It's also other ways I want to express myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, especially now, it's like, I don't feel funny a lot of the time, or I don't feel this need to want to make people laugh.
Right.
Because, I mean, initially that worked as a defense mechanism for myself.
Yeah.
And so it got to this point where it's like, I'm just making other people laugh and I'm really not getting as much out of it as I would like for it to be. When I have more that I want to express and show, you know what I mean? Like the short story I'm working on is, I mean, I think it's humor in it, but to me, it's a lot more about, you know, I feel like it's a certain level of, I think mysticism would be strong, but definitely trying to like highlight some of the aspects of reality that I find like peculiar in a way that I don't understand all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, talk about like, I mean, it's corny as I can say it, but like love and connection and shit. You know what I'm saying? And love and connection I've engaged with. And it's hard to really talk about that in stand up. You know what I mean? You gotta kind of take the piss out of so much that it's like, all right, well, you know. So
I mean, it's funny that you out of all people who do stand up say that, because it's like your comedy was like, I'm saying is whatever. Like you doing stand up is like a like brutal thing. Like you never really shied away from like saying some shit that made people like really uncomfortable, or like kind of like dealing with like stretches of like silence to get to a punchline, and like talking about like real shit. And like the fact that even that is like, you know, like too constraining for you is like,
well, and I mean,
impressive.
Well, and it's just, you know, like, all right, I guess the best example I can give up to you is like, so I watched, I read The Color Purple. That's like one of the last books I finished. And I never read it. I read another Alice Walker book before, but I read The Color Purple and then I rewatched it. And so like I read it, and then, you know, rewatching, you lose so much that's in the text. You know what I'm saying? And it was to the point where, like, by the time I got to the end of The Color Purple, a movie that when I was younger, I was like, oh, this is a good movie. Like, I was upset. It was like, it's a specific part where, like, like everybody goes, all the black people go to church and they start singing. And it's not in the book whatsoever. I hated that fucking part.
Right.
Because I feel like The Color Purple is a book that is very like critical of Christianity, specifically the Christianity that was like fucking indoctrinated in the slaves and shit like that. So for me, it's like certain ideas that I feel like I can only kind of, for lack of a better, gloss over in stand up, that I would want to take a little bit more time to really kind of. And I mean, again, for me, it's like I don't even know if I'm right. You know what I mean? Like I just want to be able to talk about it and say it because it's like that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how I'm feeling. Like I feel like right now, I feel very like confused, and it's some things that I feel like I see clearly. It's aspects of myself that I feel like I'm kind of at war with to a certain extent. I'm trying to like. I feel like I'm naturally inclined to a certain level of peace and wanting, like, you know, fucking Rodney King, why can't we all get along? But then it is like a fucking simmering anger and like feeling of like, you know, legitimate subjugation and oppression, and knowing that I felt that and felt, you know what I mean, like without and how do I manage that, you know what I'm saying, and how do I not discount one for the other, you know what I mean, and kind of balance it out. And so like something like writing is, I think, perfect for that, you know what I mean. I just felt writing is just, is so much more room. It's another thing too, is like I would talk about certain people in my stand-up, like my mom or my niece, and forgive me if I sound a little emotional, but it's you know, I want to talk about them in a more, you know, I want to really talk about them with depth. I didn't want anybody to misconstrue the way I felt about them and the way that I was like
right,
depicting them. You know what I mean? Because they have a lot more to them. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of my. And it's just something like I watch a shit ton of comedy and I watch what audience respond to, and I'm like, maybe this isn't. Maybe, well, not that I was doing it wrong, but I'm like, what I'm trying to put in the stand up is not for everybody. And not that I was trying to make shit for everybody, but I'm like, you know, this is the medium. You kind of got to work with it how it is. It is other mediums out there that will maybe be more fitting. So I'm like, all right, let me, you know, even like film is something that I'm definitely interested in a capacity, and again, just other things. I mean, it's really those, and then I, you know, to a certain extent, trying to be better about like, you know, how am I, if I do have these causes that I care about, how am I actually contributing to them? You know what I'm saying? And really trying to figure out how to do that and be better about that, and you know, be a man of my word, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Like, you know, I feel like that's a struggle. That's a struggle. You know, I've been dealing with. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. But like, you know, I was talking on the phone with Kyle the other night, and I said stuff that was similar to my stand-up that I'm like, oh, this is. But it felt good. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it felt good. It felt like I'm like, oh, this is probably a bit that I would try on stage and stuff like that.
Kyle is also like one of the easiest people to like riff shit out with.
Yeah.
Out of any like New Orleans comics, at least. Like I feel like I've gotten more shit from just talking with Kyle than like any other comic.
Yeah, we were talking about the Mandela effect, and so because you know, Kyle just came out with that piece, and he was just like, man, what's gonna happen next? And I'm like, just kind of listening out to him, like, you know, my thoughts, and so he was talking about the Mandela effect for some reason, and I was like, I got an uncle. My uncle was like a socialist, like avowed socialist and shit like that, and I remember like one of the times I was talking to him. He told me that like, and I was telling Kyle, like, it's certain stuff that I've heard that like I'll look up, and then some shit I'm like, I don't know if I want to know the truth about that. Yeah. And what I was telling, like, I was talking to my uncle one time, and he was like telling me essentially that like Nelson Mandela really wasn't in prison like that, which is like, and again, this is something I can neither confirm nor deny, because I was like, that's a truth that I didn't want to really foray into. But you know, the idea of the Mandela effect, that like he had said that to me, And I was like, what's the Mandela effect again? And he was like, oh, it's that people thought he was dead when he wasn't really alive. And I was like, man, that's dumb. Like, that's just dumb people. How could you not know that Nelson Mandela was alive when he was alive and when he died? Like, that's somebody you keep tabs on. And then, you know, Sinbad, like how they thought Sinbad was in this fucking genie movie and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's probably just because his name is Sinbad.
Well, and it's because motherfuckers is fucking racist, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, when I was a kid, bro, my pocket was Sinbad in Genie movies, bro. I saw Kazam, First Kid, Jingle All the Way. So if anybody was to know that Sinbad was in a motherfucking Genie movie, I would have known that.
Yeah,
so for
yeah.
me, like the Mandela effect, if anything, it should be that Nelson Mandela was not really in jail, and we thought he was in jail.
Yeah.
And then that would make the Nelson Mandela effect make sense. So yeah, that is my little chunk of material that I came up with.
Do you find that working on fiction takes a little bit of the pressure off the idea of doing stand-up, where you're like, oh, I don't have to cram everything into this medium, and I can?
I'm so bad about, like, I still, like, I'm working on fiction because like I'm like more so now, like sometimes I think I'm too tied to like the facts. Mm-hmm. And so like I lose the story and some of the facts. And that's the thing I'm just trying to figure out. Like, you know, Benjamin, I loaned it to him, Go Tell It on the Mountain. You know, I read that, and you know, the detail in which the characters are described is so like fucking lived in and shit like that. And then, you know, I'm able to read like, this was based off of his stepfather, and and it's like, okay, like this isn't some shit you just like spun out of nowhere. Like you had the real familiarity, so it's just a matter of like figuring out how to mold that fact into fiction to really kind of convey like what you're trying to get across.
Right.
So, you know, and like my first draft is shit that I kind of put in this story that I'm like, I gotta change this, because if somebody who knew me and read this, they would know that I was talking specifically about this thing, and I'm not trying to put nobody on blast on that level.
Yeah,
I am trying to say something by this thing, but like I don't want nobody to be like, wait a minute, this, you know what I mean? So
dude, art hurts the people close to you if you do it right, man. Like, that's hard not to.
So yeah, man, you know what I mean? Like, and I do have like some more. Right now, I feel like I have like 3 short story ideas that I definitely want to work on, and then I've had like 2 like ideas for novels. One that I'm like, and that was some of it too. I got like this idea for like what I think would be a novel, and it feels like, you know, not to get all like spiritual, but like it feels like a calling almost. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the thing that I'm supposed to write.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even now it's like, you know, reading some of the other shit that I'm reading, I'm like, well, fuck, man. Like I still need to read more before I feel like I'm there to really kind of do it justice. I mean, it might not even be a world to do it in. Who knows? But yeah, so that's like, and that's the thing. It's like, all right, I can't do stand up, but like, you know, these short stories, they operate as the open mic. You know what I mean? Right. Like, let me work these up, and then hopefully I'll build up my build up my skill level to the point where it's like, all right, I can kind of graduate to the point where I'm able to do like, oh, I'm able to do 10 minutes, I'm able to do 15, 20, half hour. It's like, all right, let me see if I can. And not even so much. I think what I'm getting some, like a lot of the books I've read haven't been super duper long. Like Go Tell on the Mountain is like maybe 200 something pages. Mm-hmm. Slaughterhouse 5 is like maybe 200 and something, you know what I mean? So it's like, all right, I don't necessarily need to be like, you know, I don't have to have this like epic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To you know, that idea, you know what I mean? Because I grew up on Harry Potter books heavy, so like, you know, fucking wanting to be like, oh, I need to write 800 words about a wizard, you know what I mean? Like, or 800 pages about a wizard.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, like I can, you know, trying to find a way to be more succinct and, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. All right, I think we should probably call it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to plug? Show's coming.
Oh, bro, I actually do have something
cool.
that I would like to plug.
Yeah.
I was in this fucking movie, this weird ass bar movie. and it comes out on like video on demand or whatever.
I heard it's good.
July 10th, July 7th or July 10th. I think July 7th. T.I. said not to buy shit, so buy shit on July 10th.
All right.
But yeah, it's called Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets.
All right.
I think it's a solid movie. You know what I mean? I think
it was screened at Sundance. My friend saw it at Sundance.
Yeah. It was screened at Sundance Film Festival as well as the Berlin Film Festival. And you know, I felt like it got like pretty good feedback from a lot of people, and it's a bar movie. So if you've ever spent any time in a bar, I think a lot of the stuff that's in it will be familiar to you. And it might be a little nostalgic since motherfuckers can't really hang out in bars and stuff now. So,
right.
You know.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it just because I miss hanging out with you in a bar.
I might do a thing because Laura's already kind of pre-ordered it. So I guess you can pre-order it, but like Laura's pre-ordered it. So I might do like a little, Zoom or Google Meet, like, fuck around. Because like David, my roommate, is also in it. And it's just like if David's character, or it's not it's him, but it's his character. It's like, he's an ornery bastard in it.
Right.
So it's a nice little dynamic between like.
That must have been real difficult for him.
Mary said, my friend Mary's the one who saw it because she was the art director for the movie Wendy. And she was like, yeah, your friend Kamari was in it and he was really cool. And then there was this guy, David, who kept on sucking and was bad. Because I think he got really, really drunk. So.
Oh, yeah. He got really mad. So the movie is like maybe like an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I know the directors, they have like a 4-hour cut that they really liked, and so I would imagine that would like make me definitely look worse and probably make him look a little bit better.
Yeah, but, she said that the funniest part of the whole movie was something that you said though.
Nice.
Yeah. And which like it was very funny to me because. I went to the Berlin Film Festival, and so that was my first time out the country and shit like that. And so it was like just a wild experience. I'm glad I got a chance to do that before everything got so bad because I had my little star moment. I'm like, I'm a big deal. But people would come up to me after the joint, and I didn't know exactly what people would want to take away from the movie because I think it's like it's a kind of sobering film. You know what I mean? You got a lot of older people in there, and they're very reflective and stuff like that. And it's a bar, so it's like you got it like the commiseration, but it's also the like the alcoholism and the addiction and stuff like that aspect and missed opportunities and failed dreams and stuff. Yeah, man, I think it is a pretty funny movie. I think it's pretty funny. And I was very happy to be a part of it. You know what I mean? It led to like my opportunity to go overseas and stuff and just kind of get the fuck out of this racist ass country. Yeah. I mean, not to go to into another racist ass country. Super not racist.
Germany.
Germany specifically.
Yeah. But, they're at least embarrassed.
Yeah. A little bit. It's still some spots, but I mean, like I feel like I met like I met like a decent amount of black people in Germany and shit like that, which I was proud of. And, you know what I mean? So it was a cool experience, man. Like just seeing.
Wait, were you proud that you found the black people in Germany?
Yeah, bro. I went to a Black History Month show in fucking Berlin.
Wild.
Damn, that's awesome.
And it's like, just kind of humping, and I met a young lady at a open mic, and she invited me to it. And so I had a show. I went to the open mic, and then I had a show that Friday night. So after my show, I went over there, and it was at the it's like a real swanky, the Soho House in Berlin. And it was like, and then I met all these like fucking black people who like work for like Nickelodeon and shit and got money and traveling and shit. I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe you ain't gotta be down bad your whole fucking life, maybe you can actually amass some shit.
Right.
But it's like, bruh, like, for me, it's like, I think shit is fucked up for certain. But it's like, bruh, just imagine the improvements if we just had it where
transportation was just more accessible. You know what I mean? You can just hop on a fucking transit and not have to worry about, like, if you don't got fare, you can just kind of hop on it and get across the city in a decent amount of time. And then, you know, motherfuckers over there got free college. They got
healthcare,
free healthcare. I mean, just the vibe is just way different, bro. You know what I mean? So, and not to say, again, like, I met the black people. Some of them are still very angry. So it don't stop. But it's like, you know, I feel like it's necessary to demand so much, but it's like, bro, like we all could be doing better, bro. This shit could be better for everybody. It ain't, you know what I mean? Like, for just so little people to have a whole bunch, like, nah, like, we all deserve some shit, bro. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, watch Kamari's movie.
Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets.
Prepare for a street combat.
Yeah. I got my adult lightsaber on me.
All right. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks,
no problem. Anytime, y'all. Love
Peace,
y'all.
man.
Love you too, man.
Love you, Kate Root.